friends, welcome to another episode of Killingly Public Library's craft videos. Today we're going to make a Valentine inspired kind of wall hanging or maybe wreath, whatever you'd like it to be. I was given this packing material from one of my co-workers. I don't know if you can see like the layers that it is, and it's kind of squishy. It reminds me of foam, but not styrofoam. I'm not really sure what it is, but I thought it would make kind of a nice form for like a wreath type thing. But I went with something small. You could certainly find something like this, go larger. Maybe if you don't have this, you could use a piece of cardboard. I am going to wrap mine with some yarn, and I'm not going to cover the whole thing because I want to do like a candy cane stripe type of a look. But if you were using cardboard, perhaps you would want to cover the whole thing with yarn because you wouldn't have a nice background behind it unless you chose to maybe paint it white, your cardboard. But since this is what I have to work with, this is what I'm going to use, and see what you can find to do something similar. And let's get started. So I did already trace my heart template on the larger piece of foam that we had. And then I also, and to make my heart, I just, I've just folded a piece of paper, and on the fold I cut the heart. Then I cut a second heart, and the second heart I then trimmed down a little, like maybe a ½ inch or so. I went around the edge to give myself a smaller heart, and I'm going to take and trace this smaller heart inside my larger heart. Let's see, if I flip it around you might be able to see better because I just used some scrap paper. My smaller heart inside my larger heart to give me a frame. So I'm just going to take a pencil and trace it and cut it out with my scissors. Not sure if you can see my traced lines. It's not a big deal, but they're there. And I'm just going to poke the scissors right through. See, it came right out the other side. And just cut along my traced line. There, I have my frame now, my heart frame. And maybe you want to figure out something to use the inner part for. I'm just focusing on the frame right now for today. And if you need to, you can certainly take your scissors and go around your edges and things to, trim it up nicer than it is. Or, maybe it came out pretty good and you don't need to do any trimming. So next I'm going to take some yarn. I have here 5 yards that I cut just to make it easier to work with. I'm not sure I'm really going to need 5 yards. We'll see how much we use when it's all said and done. I want to begin with wrapping the yarn, and I am just going to start somewhere on my heart, and I'm just going to tie the yarn behind on the back side my knot so that it's not visible. And then you can snip your ends to clean it up a little bit. So there's my knot, and I'm just going to take the yarn and snip it, just the tail. I need the rest of it to wrap around my heart. And I'm just going to take and, yes, just wrap and give it kind of a, I don't know, like a candy cane stripe is all I can really think of. That's just kind of what I was looking for. But like I said, maybe you want to cover the whole thing with yarn. I just wanted to embellish the foam a little bit. And while you're wrapping, you want to have it kind of snug so that it doesn't slip, and it won't slip. This is the material, the white material that I'm using is not slippery, but you know, just I don't want the yarn to be loosely wrapped. Now I decided, since I started here and I wanted to end here, because I'm going to make a loop here for hanging, and I think that will be a nice stripe in the middle between the two. So that is kind of where I went with it, since I had begun here. But if you had begun somewhere else, you wouldn't necessarily stop there. You would just do the whole thing as you wanted, and then tie it off. So I'm just going to snip a little piece here. I'm just going to snip some, and I'm just going to wrap this under my last loop, my last little stripe. Okay. And then I'm going to loop it around again so that I can knot it. So I went under the loop and pulled it, and now I'm going under the loop again, but from the other direction. So I will have something like this, starting a nice loop, and I'm going to put the yarn back through so that I can cinch it, and I'll do it one more time to make it good and secure. So I'm just gonna, I've got my loop, I've put my tail through, and I'm giving a tug. And that's plenty secure, and I'm just gonna snip that off, get rid of my tail. Okay, so I have something like this. I have a gap here, but I am going to take a piece of yarn. Oh, I don't know how big, I don't know. So I just snipped a piece, something like so. So I don't know, it's maybe about 1.5 feet, maybe 18 inches in length. I'm going to take the two loose ends, and I'm going to wrap around my fingers to create like a loop, and I'm going to push the tail through, kind of like if you tied a balloon. So my tail went in, and I'm pulling it up, and I'm just going to kind of push the knot with my fingers towards the end of the tail and pull it snug. So this should hold. See, I'm pulling it and it holds. So this is what I have. I have a loop here, and now I'm just going to take the loopy end, and I'm going to bring it around the back side of my heart. And I'm just going to put the knotted end through the loop and pull it up. So it will give me something to hang with. And I just want to fiddle with my loops here, my little pieces of yarn that are going to be visible, so that it, there. So it's something like this, and you can fiddle and play around with it some more if you want your stripes to be in a little bit different spot. You could do that. And if you are not sure it's going to hold, you can also knot this down low by just making a loop and pulling. I'm not going to. I think it'll be fine just like it is, but you can do what works best for you. So I don't need the yarn. We didn't quite use the full 5 yards, but you may want to make more stripes than I did, which would mean you would use a little bit more yarn, or maybe you want to do less, or maybe you don't want to do any at all. Maybe you liked just the white foam heart. So I wanted to give it a little Cupid's arrow, and since this is some kind of foamy material, I went with a skewer and it's gonna go right through it. So I just have to decide where I would like my skewer to be placed. So I'm thinking maybe something like this. So I'm going to start here and go up through here. And it's okay, the heart can move and bend on your skewer, so you can fiddle with that and make it, reshape it however you think you need to reshape it. And I think this skewer is probably a little too long for what I need, and that's okay. I'm going to trim it. I'm going to take some scissors here and just kind of maybe trim it right about here, because I think that would be the perfect size arrow. Now, before the video, I cut some felt. I just made a little heart. I folded the paper in half so that I could make my heart the way I wanted. I cut 2 pieces of felt, and I'm just going to glue them together over the tip of my Cupid arrow. So I'm just gonna put it on like so and add a little glue. I've got my hot glue gun plugged in, and so I'm just gonna do that. So I'll just dab a little glue there. Just a little strip of glue there, and I'm going to put my skewer end in there. And do be mindful of where your heart is located on there so it's not crooked. And then just glue the other, just lay the other heart on top and glue it down. Should glue fine since I ran the glue this way across the there. Okay, and now I made a little template because it's easier to cut a piece of paper out and see and not waste my felt. So I made what I thought would be a nice little end to my arrow. And I'm just going to then add my felt pieces onto the bottom of the arrow just like I did to the tip of my arrow. So there, I finished the bottom part of my arrow, and in doing so, I realized I have put the tip of my arrow upside down. The point of the bottom of the heart should be here, and and this top part here where the 2 rounded ends are should be closer to this heart so that this looks like the point of an arrow. I apologize. So when you do yours, do flip it around. I can certainly flip mine around after it's glued solid already, so I can't even change it. I have to cut a whole new one. But I'm sure you won't make the same mistake I did. One thing I would also say is to be careful when you're putting it in, that your skewer doesn't twist, because then you might have, you know, one end of your arrow, the top or the bottom, going in one direction and the other one might be going in another direction because your skewer twisted. But if you wanted to add more to this, you know, add some extra hearts or flowers or anything to embellish it up and give it a little more pizzazz. But that's what I'm doing today. And I hope you enjoyed today's video. I would love to see your finished projects. Please share them with me at info@killinglypl.org. Thanks so much for stopping in, and until our next craft video, have a great day.